Hi there, I'm Dr. Chris Johnson, founder of Q4 Consulting and host of this week's 5-day challenge, Resist Burnout, Flipping the Switch from Pressure to Power. I've been hearing a lot these days about how people are handling their stress, not handling their stress, what's actually happening for them. And I decided I would bring forward many of the gifts and practices and awareness tools to all of you so you can resist burnout and actually flip that switch, turning the stress into actually much more of a resource for all of you. Now, before we get started, though, I wanted to give you some overview about what's going to go on in this week's orientation. So I'm going to put my glasses on here and get going. So if you haven't done it already, what I'd want you to do is go ahead and download the workbook. The link is here in this email for you. It's called Resist Burnout Challenge. And go ahead and download that workbook. Now, you'll be tempted to skip through the pre-work. I would advise against it. The pre-work is actually designed to have you look at how are you experiencing pressure in your body, in the way that you're thinking, in your mood and emotions. And then lastly, what is it that you would really like to get out of this week of flipping the switch? What is your desired outcome? I really want you to give some time and attention to focusing on that. So don't skip the pre-work. You'll be referencing back to it and back to it again throughout this entire week. So go ahead and do that. You want to check your inboxes every day. You'll get an email from me, a short video like this with some practices and prompts to guide you through how to do this process. And so what I'd encourage you to do is to knock off between 20 and 30 minutes a day. The videos will be short, the practices and prompts will be brief, but they'll be thoughtful. And I want you to spend some time attending to those in order for you to work through this successfully. So here's the orientation for the whole week. Today, the first day, is catching yourself being yourself. We'll talk more about that. Second day, tomorrow, is I have a what? You have an energy body. We all have bodies. We live in them. They have energy. We'll talk more. Day 3, what's my mood? What's my mindset? Our mindsets and moods orient us and filter the experiences that we have, our interpretations of them all day long. They can contribute to burnout or they can help us become more resilient. Day 4, oops, are you stuck in a tricky conversation? Yep, it can happen, especially as stress ratchets up. We move more toward burnout. We're more susceptible to have difficult times in conversations. And given the national discourse going on, there's a lot of heightened divisiveness and tension. So we want to be able to stay present to ourselves and what's important in order to move forward. Last day, day 5, so Friday, October 19th, I'll be hosting a Facebook Live conversation at noon. It'll last just under an hour. All of you are invited to join. In fact, I'd really strongly encourage it so that as you're working through each day, on Friday, you can come ask questions. We'll have a live conversation about all of this, how you've been successful, where you might find some difficulty, and how we can support each other. Oh, and lastly, I forgot. Go on over to Facebook. The link is also here. Like us, join the group Resist Burnout. Introduce yourself and why it is that you're here at all in this Facebook group, why it is that you're in this conversation, and what you hope to gain. I'll be on Facebook every day responding to each of you in terms of questions you have or insights, stuff you want to share. It's all good, right? Now, I know, being another human, that stress, that this actual challenge that you're in, it might be a little challenging, it might be a little steep, because we get caught up being who we are. So I really appreciate your being here today, your willingness to engage and learn together. I know as a psychologist and a leadership coach, I work with lots of people on how to work with their stress in different ways so that we can not necessarily slip into burnout. So for some of you, you're within spitting distance of burnout, and I get that. And I really appreciate you taking the time and would love to hear more from you on this call. But what I do know is that it's possible to flip the switch. And I'm here today, this week, to support you in doing just that. All right, let's get started with day 1 today. The first day is catch yourself being yourself. So I have this great colleague, his name is Todd. He's a facilitator coach, and I snagged this line from him. He challenges people all the time in groups that we work with to just catch yourself being yourself. There's no shame in it. And in fact, human beings are fabulous and amazing and strange creatures, all of us, right? So what we want to do is catch ourselves being ourselves in all the good things that we bring, but also in the ways that we get in our own way, the obstacles. Because you see, as we grow up in life, we're shaped a certain way We develop a certain mindset, a point of view, certain opinions. Our bodies take a physical shape of that. So if somebody's uplifted, if somebody's really downcast, we can see it a lot in the way we read ourselves and other people. Actually, I should say read other people. We really have a hard time looking at ourselves honestly. So that's what today is about, is catching yourself being yourself. So before we do that though, I want to actually give the definition of burnout. Burnout isn't just simply the regular, normal, everyday stress. We know that it's not. It's more than that. Burnout is when it's a state of being that's about physical and emotional exhaustion. It's a state of being where things look pretty bleak, so our outlook is shaded or gray. It's a state of being where we're not really sure that we're performing very well. We're off our game a little bit. And not just a little bit, we're off our game a lot. And we're sinking into burnout when we notice some basic key elements. So check yourself on these: physical fatigue, difficulty sleeping, irritable mood, even to the point of depression or easily set off, not performing as well, and difficulty with concentration. And if those things have been going on for a while, you might be right at the edge of that burnout. So I want to help you back that up. For those of you who don't have all of that, good news. And we want to support you in some practices to keep an eye on all of those things, right? What we know in the workplace today, and I'm guessing that most of you are working, that about 40% on any given day, 40% of the population in the US says that they are highly stressed. Another 26%, so we're talking 66% say they're highly stressed and in burnout to the point where they can concentrate. There's a fancy name, it's called presenteeism, like they're there, but they're not really there. Want to help all of those folks come back and learn some of the skills that we need. So here we go. The first thing I'd like you to do today is, in order to catch ourselves being ourselves, we're going to do a get real list. And this get real list is designed to help you honestly and with some compassion assess, like, what's real for me? Where am I actually at? What are the behaviors, the mindsets, the mood states, the practices or habits that I am in, some of which will be great, and that'll be a great positive on the get real, but some of them actually aren't serving you very well. And we want to take an honest appraisal of those so that you can make a shift. Now, it's my belief that through life and the way that we get shaped, the way we become to be who we are, it's all good. And we learn habits and practices from our first families and in our young adult lives that actually then become invisible to us. We can't see them anymore. We can't see ourselves being ourselves. So we need each other. And this is where you can talk about this over in the Facebook group. But you can also, if you trust it, you can go to a partner, a really trusted friend, and say, hey, I am tasked with doing this get real list. So will you help me? Just have a look. Let's talk honestly, right? So what I'd like to do, when I say get real too, and notice what is so, I'm not being flighty or mamsy-pamsy or Pollyannish, right? Because what is so is so. What happens though, and what I mean is that if we can look at what's so, we can drop our resistance, we can quit fighting ourselves so that we can actually focus on what's most important to us and move in a positive direction toward that. So it's a key starting place. And it's also the place where we have an honest assessment of ourselves that we can actually then take steps to move forward and step from pressure into power. So what I'd invite you to do, you can do it now or later, but I'm going to ask you to push pause, and just jot down a half a dozen or so things that you think are actually true that might be getting in your way today and contributing to burnout. So what's contributing to burnout? Where is my attention? What am I actually doing? So you can go ahead and pause this, and I'll meet you in just a sec. All right, here we are. I don't know what all of you came up with so far, but I came up with a list. Getting in my way, the get real list could be like this. I need to be in control a lot. I'm not sure I care. I'm freaking out like my hair is on fire and I'm screaming, me. I'm really not happy about this situation and my energy and my emotions are getting the best of me. Could be stepping into action too soon without thoughtfulness, or conversely, reluctant, not stepping in, waiting too long. And lastly, it could be that you're working too hard. It's one of my personal favorites. I really have to watch that one. So which of your actions are not aligned with what you say you want? That last question in the pre-work. Where are your attentions really? Really, where are they going? What stops you from accessing your full power? I know one of the tricky things is that it's easy in doing a list like this to blame other people. If my husband or wife were just doing X, I would be fine. If my boss weren't such a, I'd be cool. If the economy weren't, there's a tendency to look outside, and that's somewhat necessary and it can be useful, but I can't change a whole lot of that. You can change how you work with yourself and the orientation that you have, and certainly where you put your attention and energies. That's all within our control. So again, get real, right? So if I say I don't want to work so long, and I'm working too hard and I want to reduce my stress, but I am not willing to quit working 12 hours a day and answering texts and emails up until midnight, I'm not really committed to changing that. If I say, gosh, I really want to lose 15 pounds, I'd like to get in shape, maybe run a race, but I'm not willing to get up and go to the gym or even take a walk, I'm probably not really committed to it. It's just a great idea. So I can get caught up in the story of, oh, this is what I'd like to do, and then never do a darn thing about it. Or I could take an honest appraisal of what's so, drop my resistance, and now I have a fresh starting place to address the burnout, the stress, all of that that's right there, and I can switch and make a different choice. So here's practice number 2. Practice number 2 is giving yourself permission to be kind and compassionate when you don't meet your own standards. Now, I've just asked you to do a get real list, and you've done it. And probably it elicited some discomfort for you, maybe downright anger. I don't know. You'll tell me for sure. Do tell me over in Facebook. But truly, we're really, really hard on ourselves. I mentioned blame earlier, and we can blame till the cows come home. And yet very often, and what I see super consistent, is that we're very hard on ourselves, giving ourselves any kind of grace and kindness. So here's what I'd like to do right now. If you can put down your pen or pencil, and whatever you're up to, I'm going to read you a declaration. You might call it an affirmation. And all I want you to do right now is just to notice how it lands on you, how you feel in your body, what moods it strikes. Here's how it goes. Just let yourself take this in, taste it, hear it. Today, I choose to surrender to what is so and to commit to making changes that transform pressure into power. I choose to forgive myself for all the mistakes I've made, and to give myself permission to move forward, free from shame, guilt, and judgment. Yeah, go ahead and take a second. Go ahead and use this as your mantra this week. Say it 3 times a day. Notice how you're experiencing it. Make some comments over in the Facebook group. Last practice today is it's decision time, the time of choice and action. What are we actually going to do with all of this? So a couple things. When I notice myself being myself, and oops, that's not really working for me anymore, and I choose to go in this direction, this opens a door and possibilities, and it closes these. And there may be some sadness or grief or relief about that. All good. So I want us to be able to reflect on, as I'm choosing this, what am I choosing to let go? Certainly resistance to what is, but there may be letting go of other pieces in order to make room for this new future to emerge, so that instead of being in burnout or high stress, that you're actually taking it and moving into a more powerful place for yourself. So here's a couple things. First of all, I want to teach you a sitting practice, and then I'm going to bring that sitting practice down and back to a couple of statements I'd leave you with today. So the sitting practice goes like this. You're sitting or standing in your chair. You're sitting in a nice upright and dignified posture, so nice and tall. So here's a couple steps. Step 1, breathing in, Up and uplift, exhaling down and soften the front side of your body. You can do that a few times. Third step is to bring to mind something that makes you smile and think about whatever that is. And then really let that smiling energy fill you up. And then to expand it out as if you're in a big fountain, in a big bubble, and you're filling up your personal space. You filled up your torso, now you're filling up all your space in front of you, behind you, all around. And then you're relaxing into that. Let's do that one more time, breathing in, up from the back, down the front chest and soft, maybe finding spaces that you can let go. Number 3, bring to mind something that makes you smile. And then let yourself really smile and take that smiley sensation. We're actually shifting the chemicals in our body. We're shifting to oxytocin, makes us feel better. And then fountain that out in terms of this bubble all around you so that you are moving in a mood that's different than before. In this space, go ahead and answer these questions that are in your notebook. Today I decide that I am no longer available for X because it doesn't serve me. I'm only available for Y. It might sound like this. Today I decide I'm no longer available for working overtime and too late at the office. It doesn't serve me in my life. I am only available for choices that are healthy for me regarding work. You get the idea. Tomorrow we'll take a look at how the pressure mounts and how we experience resistance to change so we can work more effectively with it. We know it's normal, it happens, and all is actually well. So good day to you. Resist burnout. Flip your switch today. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.